or Iglesia ni Cristo.
Don't underestimate
the power
of a single
conversation.
It could change your whole life.
INCRadio Chatline.
conversations that matter.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to INT Radio Chat Line. We hope that you can leave your chats for us there in the comment section tonight because it's going to be very important to our discussion. We're talking about communication and not just communication, but memes. All your favorite memes, all your favorite emojis, all your favorite, I can't think of all the other stuff, reels, um, all the wholesome stuff that's out there, I guess. It's kind of like similar to on our thumbnail. But I'm not by myself. I have EJ and Arnie with me to talk about this topic today, and hopefully you there in Team Live Chat. Because this has been something that I feel has been more prevalent lately than in past years, just because of the rise of technology, right? And it's just a different way of communicating. Because what I heard the other week was that some people purely communicate just through emojis. Have you done that? No. You're laughing.
I have.
Have you really?
I have. I feel like I've had conversations where it's just purely just emojis. Because, like sometimes there's like just some things where you feel like like, I can't think of the words to express this. So you just end up just sending like a series of emojis to that kind of represent the process of your emotions. So like say for example, I sent like like a smiley next to one where it's like like it's showing the teeth smiling, and then like tears coming out like laughing. Like just to show kind of like my process of like, wait, I don't get it. Oh, I got it, and then I'm crying laughing at this.
I've heard that people tell full on stories. they will tell people about their day literally through emojis. Like how is there no room for like misunderstanding there by doing that purely but I don't know. And some people do
Maybe
that.
that's the
I
fun of it.
also yeah, figuring it out, right? It's kind of like
Mm,
problem solving in a way.
yeah.
Arnie, have you experienced that yet? No. Purely
No,
emoji combo.
no. I mean, like, I'll use emojis, but it's not like my whole conversation. If I'm
Okay.
sending a message and I want them to know that it's not like on a serious note, then I'll put like the smiling emoji, or I'll do stuff and put the, crying emoji or whatever, but just so that they know the tone. Or sometimes if somebody says a
Mm,
message and I have nothing to respond, like, but just to acknowledge that I received the message, then I'll just send a smiley emoji or a thumbs up or something. But that's it. But for the most part, now I still have conversations with actual words.
Okay.
no,
That's
I'm with that now. I'm with Arnie there in terms of like, I feel like now that I feel now in my text messages emojis are necessary, because yeah, like I feel like without emojis people would think I'm saying all of it with a straight face, especially when I'm trying to kind of like joke around with someone, and I'm scared that if like I try to be sarcastic with them and they think that I'm serious because I didn't send like a smiling emoji or like whatever emoji I wanted to send with it to kind of represent like the tone that I said it. Like I worry about that, so I will send even just like a little like smiley face. Just tell them I'm not mad, I'm not angry, I'm not sad. Just like I am happy.
yeah, my friends, not all of them, but some have told me that I'm a dry texter. So I got like real self-conscious about that. Not in a bad way, but of course, because I personally am very particular always about my words, and I like paying attention to that stuff because communication is important. That's something that we use every day. We use it in all different kinds of places in our relationships, whether professional or personal. And it happens to be that through technology is a big part of how we communicate now. Not back in the day, not during I was gonna say during Aunt Arnie's time. I don't know when the cell phone she's- no judgment. It's just you know.
Hey, we know how to use our words. That's why we don't do emojis. Okay. I still text full on sentences. I do not do cause it is because I don't
Oh, you
do,
don't really? You
no.
do
Our,
full
Oh.
on because
yeah.
okay.
Unless I'm in a rush and it's to my nephews or something, but my text messages, and if I see that I spelled something wrong, I'll go back and edit it and make sure it's correct.
Do
So
you
'cause
also
that's how we
like, let's say,
communicate. That's real communicating, not pictures of things just flashing and trying to make people laugh when people don't even get what it is trying to say.
She's
uh,
defensive because I called her
I want to
old. I
ask,
love
do
you,
you
Act.
I want to ask Arnie, do you also like let's say like words like gonna, wanna. Do you also
Huh?
do you,
Oh,
no,
like
you're gonna,
Going,
G-O-N-G.
wanna,
it's
going
You
to,
don't
going
say
to, you
gonna.
want
want.
to.
You don't say gonna. You say going to.
It
Oh
depends
wait.
on who I'm texting. But yeah, if I'm
Okay,
texting
okay.
like, you know, like not family, it is going, are
Mm.
you going? So it just all depends. But yes, I think
Uh,
it's proper because I have this thing where anything can be used against you in the court of law, and so I want to be as proper as possible. Because
That's fair.
because you
fair,
never
fair
know.
enough.
That's fair.
Fair
That is
enough,
fair
yeah.
though.
And I think for me, if you get used to all those shortcuts and you get used to all those gonna, right? When it's time for you to actually type something that is professional, you may forget and start doing that, and then
Mm.
it's not going to look good, whether like it's your resume or whether it's any email you're sending to your colleagues. Then they're probably thinking, what kind of language is she talking, so
Hey, team, gonna peace out for the set.
Well,
Gonna get
I
back
had
to
a
you when I.
question. I had a question because Arnie, I know you have nephews, right? And they kind of range in different ages. Have you seen that in them already, where they struggle with um, separating the boy like slang talk versus professional talk? Do you know
I
that at
think
all?
with the one that's in high school, I think he lacks social skills just to begin with, you know? Like
Hmm.
he can chat with anybody online. He can chat like if you're playing video games, he'll talk to you and all that stuff, but like in person, like he doesn't want to talk to people. And then my other nephew who's actually in college, once he started um college and he had to write papers and all that, then he knew he had to write more on the professional level. So I think as you get older,
Got it.
you start to realize it, but the ones in high school, they just send whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's emojis. What about like memes? Do you remember your first, I guess, experience with memes? The first ones that you kind of saw or noticed? Mine was the cats. Like all the cats that were like popping up with captions and stuff like that.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with like I forgot if they were already called this or if this is if this new name that it has is kind of like the name, like kind of like a new name, or if it was called something else. Are you guys familiar with like back in 2013, like the troll face memes? Where it's like this
Yes.
drawn face
Yes.
and there's like a
Yep.
text there where it's like,
Hmm.
like you're kind of being silly, right?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Like
Like just
kind
a
of being
lot of
silly, being
wacky
sarcastic.
faces,
Yeah, yeah.
wacky exaggerated, and it was like black and white basically because it was just like
Hmm.
black pen that they're using. Yeah,
Hmm.
I remember those. I think that was after because mine was definitely like it was the cats. I just remember at one point when I was more because I feel like I wasn't really on the internet as
Hmm.
much until late into middle school, high school. A lot of it was early exposure then, and that's when I got to see. I think it was because of my sister. There's just a lot of cat memes, just like trying to relate human experiences with, with these like cat experiences. And I love cats, which is what made it sold it for me. I was like, oh, I love this. And then even more so now. when they make like the wholesome kind of stuff. It makes me giggle. But yeah.
I remember one where it's like a penguin, kind of like it's like running one way, and then the next picture is like it's running back the other way. I forgot what it's called, but I remember that one. And the one with like the baby kind of thing. This.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's kind of crazy actually. I don't know if you guys have experienced this. The memes that they've kind of posted in the past, there's like
Mhm,
people on them, right? And then they'll do side by side of what they look like now, and then like
mhm,
full blown adults and stuff. And I'm just like, whoa,
mhm.
has it been that long since that meme came out? Like, whoa. Yeah. Shows you passage of time kind of in a way. I would
I,
say.
I'm kind of going back here, but like I remember this. I just remember this because of like that we were talking about like emojis earlier, but I feel like even before I don't know if it's the same. It was the same here, but when I was in the Philippines and like the old phones that we were using, like you have to be really strategic with like how you structure words in your text messages because every character, every letter counted as like one, and like you have to, like if when you ran out of words, you have to go to the store and buy more load so you
The
can
load, yeah.
yeah, so you can uh, you can text your friends more. So like what we ended up doing is like we would we would take out the vowels and it would just be all consonants and like people knew what you meant. People knew what you meant when you're typing. We've all kind of learned how to read it without the vowels. We're just like, oh, okay, I know what that means. But sometimes something that I would do is I would add like a little smiley face using kind of like like using the different characters. I forgot what it was now, but like using that different characters to kind of like make a smiley face, make like a face with kind of like a cat face where it's like like a W. You kind of use a W, kind of make like a cat face.
That was like the biggest shock for me when I started to talk to some of my relatives in the Philippines because that's very common for them. It's like it's cultural too, right? That's very common for them. But
Yeah.
when I first started seeing their messages, like when the first time I went to the Philippines and then we left and we reconnected after, when they would start messaging me, I'm like, what am I? I was already struggling with Tagalog as it is, right? I was just learning Tagalog at that time. But then they would have their slang of like when you say here, that's here in Tagalog is dito,
Dito.
right? Like
Yeah.
DITO. And they would spell it in text like D and two. And I didn't know like what?
No, I have to like that transition from that from me to transitioning to like messaging apps when the internet started getting kind of like more widespread, right? And people started using the internet more, using like different messaging apps, and now there's no limit. Like as long as you have
Right.
Wi-Fi, there's no limit to the characters. And I would still type like there is. Even the keywords are changed. It's not like the ones with like it's like a number of n- like 1 to 10, and there's like
Yeah.
no, there's like letters assigned to each number. Like
I
having to
forget
type
that's
like a phone.
QWERTY
Yeah. Q-
keyboard. Is that that's what it's called,
I
right? Where
mean,
you have to
QWERTY keyword is like kind of like the usual keyboard, but yeah, it's like I forgot what kind of keyboard it's called, but yeah, it's the
No,
one
it's
with
there's
like
a name for it where you have to, that's one of the first phones that I had was
mm,
it still had that where you would text and you had to become so skilled at like okay, like this is
how
twice,
many
this is it.
how many clicks to get to like the letter.
Yeah, yeah, but once you did it a certain amount of time, you got used to it, right? You got
Mhm.
used to it and you could fly.
Yeah.
You could
I
fly
was
smooth.
so good at that, but then I had to switch to like the ones where it's like it's a full keyboard. It's just like
Yeah,
uh
that
without
was a
the
game changer. That was a game changer.
and I would still type without the vowels. I think for a while. For a while. It wasn't until maybe like I would say like 2016, 2017 where I started using okay, I gotta change this mindset because it's not counting anymore. Like I can just type full sentences and it would be okay.
I'm
But,
thinking also of like the different memes that go viral, right? Like,
mm,
did
it's funny. Yeah, it's kind of like it seems always random, right? like you don't understand why it's like why it becomes popular, but every time you watch it, it just becomes funnier and funnier to you as well. Or that might be just my experience.
No, I mean I feel like there's funny memes, right? There's memes that are entertaining, but then there are also ones that I feel bring people to like to a similar kind of idea. Like for example, I didn't know that every because when you're a kid you just do random things, right? So let's say I have a
Mhm.
fan, right? And you go up to the fan and then you start talking in the fan and you start
Oh
like
yeah.
your voice changes, right? And
Mhm.
then so you don't think much of little stuff that you do like that when you're a kid. And then when I started
Mhm.
seeing memes of people like you remember when like you were 5 and you were doing this with the fan, I'm like other people did that too. It's just like I'm not the only weird one.
And
Like that
the one I
realization.
remember, it's like very being very specific. It's like a meme. Oh, it wasn't really a meme. It was like a video of someone like they have a bucket full of water and they would just spin their arms around it and
Yeah.
then kind of go against like the water.
Yeah.
I was like, I did that.
Can you relate, Arnie? Are we just weird? I mean, is you just
No,
weird?
like I did stuff as a kid, but I think I don't look at memes, so or I don't send memes, so I don't
Oh,
see those things. Yeah.
at
So
all?
We gotta send her down. We
no,
gotta
I
send her down.
know. We gotta send
no,
her like a bunch of memes now.
because I'm like, I mean, because
You
even
just
with
don't like them, or just not entertaining?
no, I just don't look for them to send.
Mm.
You know, um, I don't even remember how many memes I've even seen.
Not even just on social media, like scrolling through.
No,
Like you
yeah,
don't.
yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Her feed is really curated.
I think it's more of, people's pictures and things that they do and
Mm.
more of messages
I
as
mean,
opposed to memes.
yeah. I mean,
And I
like
think
your
I
social
share
media
more videos than I do of memes.
Mm.
reels.
Like of things that's going on and stuff like that.
Uh,
And like crazy videos of crazy things kids do, stuff like that, but not actual memes, I don't think.
I feel like reels have kind of evolved to next level meme in a way
yeah,
because
it's like a video meme, right?
some of them are. I feel like some of them are like that. So I feel like you might have seen reels that could be like meme context, but it's within a reel. Am I making sense?
Yeah, I guess. But like I said, I don't send memes,
She was not happy with that.
like I've just started using the gifs. I never used to send those either. I used to just totally be just emojis, but
Oh, you say gifs. You say with a g.
uh-huh. Why,
I
what is
say
it?
It's
gif.
a,
I say
we are
gifs.
not gonna
That's a
argue
no, I know, I know. But that is a thing
with
though.
their
That's one of the
argument.
things that kind of brings about, debates is like GIFs versus GIFs. There's also that other I don't know if you ever saw that, Arnie. It was a thing that it was really big on social media where there was this one dress that they showed
Oh yeah,
everybody.
the
You know,
blue,
okay, so
the
you've seen
blue.
that one.
No,
Yeah.
it was
Is it
yellow, wasn't it?
blue and black and
No, it's
yellow and
blue.
white?
It's isn't it gold?
Or gold and white versus blue and black, I think it was.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, we're even now. But I don't know. I don't know what we call it the rest.
See, but I saw
I don't
that,
know anymore.
but I didn't think that was a meme. I just thought that was something that just went out that everyone's debating if it's gold or if it's blue or whatever. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's the definition of meme has kind of evolved a bit. So the way that I understood memes before was like I said, I mentioned the cat thing. It's like something that everybody can kind of relate to. Like when you look at it, you're like, "Huh, that's funny," because there's like some truth to it or some kind of reality to it, right? I don't know if it was ever added to the dictionary as a.
I
Oh
feel like
yeah,
it would, because they update it regularly.
yeah,
They
they
have
did.
to add like new words, right? That kind of become
So
a
how the
thing.
internet defines it is an image, video piece of. So video does count, Arnie. So you may have seen memes without even knowing it. An image, video piece of text, typically humorous in nature, that is copied and spread rapidly by internet users, often with slight variations. Yeah, so kind of like funny stuff. But I feel like the whole dress thing. I feel like in a way it it was kind of like a meme to me in a way, just because of how invested I feel like everybody got into
Mhm.
that one thing.
That's a
I thought
scary
it was
thought,
just a
though.
picture that everyone had to guess.
It can,
Yeah,
I would
something
say
like
it kind of worries me though, because like it's it's one of those things where like you don't even realize how invested you get, how
true.
invested you become to something, and it's presented as a joke, right? It's presented as a
Hmm.
joke first, but people were actually arguing about like
Yeah,
that, like they were like, no, it's no, it's blue, no, it's gold, no, it's like people were actually taking sides to whichever, whichever, and it started off like kind of like as a joke, like somebody
yeah.
put it, oh, what color is this dress, you know. Someone said it's this color, the other person said it's this color. Yeah. Like
I'm glad you brought that up though, EJ. That is a good point. It's kind some one of the things to kind of be careful with how invested are you in these
mhm.
things, and how are you using them? How are you
I
using them?
would say I worried too sometimes, like, because I would come across like a real, like a meme, like a meme where it's like there's sort of like a caption on top where it's like kind of like I would say kind of like self-deprecating, kind of, which I get the humor of it. I get the humor of it. Like some people, that's kind of like funny, but I always worry about like the person who made it because I feel like there's some truth to that. Like
Mm,
they were feeling that about themselves. Like they might have presented it as a joke, you know. And people who kind of like, if someone shares it, it's like, I feel compelled, like if my friends share something, I feel
are you
compelled to,
okay?
yeah, to message them like in private, like, how are you?
Yeah.
Are you good? Are you okay?
But I feel like another a good to flip that on a good side, it kind of opens up for ways to for ways for people to communicate. I can't communicate right
Yeah.
now. In a way that kind of, because I have friends that they struggle with words,
Mhm.
whether it's explaining their feelings, whether it's being able to talk about hard things. I have friends who are like that, where it takes them a lot of effort to be able to talk through stuff. So there are times where they could send a song, or they could send a reel, and it kind of captures what they're feeling without them having to say so much. So I feel that's like
Mhm.
one kind of positive effect of these different various mediums. Like even with the whole emoji thing, I feel like if you're a person who really struggles with trying to explain how you feel, I mean, the emojis are kind of funny when you look at them, but at least it's something that, it's these cues that we can still pay attention to for people who may be limited in the way that they're able to communicate. But it's like with any tool, right? It's always just how you use it. It's how you're using it that really counts. What are the ways that you're going about it? So, oh, I don't know. Thoughts, Arnie?
I would hear
Are you still
yeah.
against it?
It's not that I'm against it. I don't I know like with some people, like my nephews will show me some that they get and it's just
Mm,
not funny, but they think it's funny. Um and then there are just some that's just I don't know. I think I'm the type that I don't spend time on stuff like that.
okay,
Like if I see it,
that's
I
fair.
see it, but I'm not going to dwell on it, kind of a thing. I would rather get a text message. Like I said, I'd rather get pictures or, stuff like that rather than something kind of like nonsense that doesn't make sense that people find hilarious.
What if it's like because I consider these things memes is like those like cartoony, like kind of motivational one. Do you consider those memes? I know it, like the definition earlier was like more humorous, but I kind of like that stuff, like
So
wholesome.
I've seen those motivational things, but I don't consider those memes. And those I
Not
see,
like
and those I see a
not
lot of,
mm,
and those I share and everything, but I don't consider it as memes because I just thought memes were supposed to be funny or
just
you
funny.
know what I mean? I
Yeah,
thought
yeah, yeah.
that's what they're there for, not to anything else. So
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm sorry,
EJ,
that
you're
caught me
laughing.
off guard. No, that caught me off guard when she said, like memes are supposed to be funny. I was like, oh, because
right,
I
that's
laugh
that's
at a
why they
lot of
that's
memes.
why they send them, right? They're
No,
supposed to be funny. It's not like it's
yeah.
like it's something serious, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. but like that's the thing though. I feel like the context has kind of changed because like what to EJ's
Mm-hmm.
point earlier, right? They're taking um like the humor of in a different way. It's like they're kind of using it humorously, but they're also low key communicating how upset they are at something or how how stressed they are. Like for
Mm-hmm.
example, like maybe for students can relate to different things where because even in like video form I've seen it where they'll do will be a meme of being able to say um me after exams and it's just like someone just like crying on the computer looking like that or just like some kind of visual because I feel like the way that I've seen memes kind of flourish is being able to connect people a little bit. Like you see
Mm-hmm.
something and you're like, "Oh, like I get that." And there's a fine line there to kind of be able to identify with that, but then also still know how to separate yourself from it, if that makes sense. Like not
Yeah.
identifying with it too much as like, oh, that's like for you look at all these different videos like, oh, that's me for everything. Like, oh yeah, that's me. Because I feel like sometimes when we're consuming media and we kind of feel that connection to it, you kind of have to be careful with like, is it just becoming like you're
Mm-hmm.
adjusting yourself to it, like because you feel like that's the only thing that can describe what you're feeling, or is that really? Am I making sense? Where you're
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
not
we
kind of
kind of
putting your whole self
identify
into it.
to it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Just some
Being
thoughts.
careful, man. Being careful how it influences you. Right?
Yeah, because just with consuming media in general, I think that's something to always be careful about. That's why I'm also careful about the memes that I share. It's like content wise, there's some there's some humor out there that's maybe not the best to be sharing to everyone that can be hurtful. That can be hurtful or offensive. There's some stuff that I see sometimes like, oh, like to Arnie's point, like that's supposed to be funny, right? Like, well, I don't know if that was funny. So you
Exactly.
just scroll, you scroll.
And what's funny to you might not be funny to
Yes,
somebody else.
yes,
That's true.
You
exactly.
know, so yeah, like I said, I've seen a few here and there. I don't use it on a regular basis, and you know, I don't do the cat thing because I'm not into cats.
Cry, so sad.
My cat is like
Send
complaining
me,
in the background.
send me dogs, send me Disney, okay, but not cats because I don't care what it is on a cat. I'm just gonna keep scrolling.
Not even a kitten, not even like the baby ones. They're just like,
Nope, I'm not into cats.
it's no convincing
Mm,
her.
I
It's
see.
fair. I respect it. I will respect and not debate you. I'll respect your
We listen and we don't judge, right?
Yeah, we listen. We don't see. That's like
If you didn't
that's
get it
one of
already, that's a
them.
meme.
Oh,
That's
is
a
that a
meme.
meme?
That's a meme. It's like we listen. I mean, like it's kind of nice. That one's kind of nice. Though it's like we listen and we don't judge. Where they'll confess,
And then
right?
they'll
They'll
say stuff.
confess.
Yeah, I've
Mhm.
They'll say
seen
stuff.
people doing
Yeah,
videos, but
yeah.
I figured that's a video and not really a meme because they're talking about all the different things that they did that
I don't know
we're not
the
supposed to judge.
with the evolution of like reels, how it's evolved. I feel like that's how they translate some memes now is through that is through
Mhm.
those reels and trends like that, which to EJ's point, sometimes it's funny and wholesome, but then sometimes you're just like, well, I don't know about that, like, being wary, but that one is funny. I enjoy that one. You just got to be careful because like what Arnie said earlier, the humor that other people enjoy may not be funny to you, so like be courteous and considerate, when you're doing stuff, when you're getting your friends to do those things. So we don't want to hurt other people at the, you know, we don't want humor at the expense of other people's pain. Yeah. I think that's the
Mhm.
better way to put it. But any final thoughts, you guys, on just communication in general, not just solely memes. I mean, there's so many different ways I feel like that we communicate without words now, like in so many different ways. So, what are your thoughts on today's world of communication? Any advice you have? Any words of wisdom? Arnie.
Mm,
Use proper English. Because it can
well,
come back to bite you later on.
I feel like my advice now it's just going kind of like going like a different direction from what Arnie said. Because for me, it's like finding like like communicate the way that you feel you can communicate, right? If you can't communicate with words, use emojis, use memes, use whichever form you feel like would reach, like the people you want to reach. Because like like, and I mean I would say like the most straightforward way to communicate is just say it. Just say it. But if you feel uncomfortable with that, if you feel like you can't express it in words, there are different ways. There's other ways for you to communicate it, right to people. So yeah, find a one that kind of works with you.
I'm gonna try to find a way to bridge both of your answers so they're not
So, by
like
the way,
they're not like here and there. So
mm,
I totally agree. It's being able to use words, especially in the right environments. Okay, like don't be using slang at, at your workplace if that's not the because some places might warrant that, but most of the time, no. Yeah. So make sure that we try to take care of that, and to again to EJ's point, make sure that you try your best to be effective in your communication. So thanks everyone for tuning in to INC Radio Chatline. We hope to see you again next week, ending a little bit early today. So take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye.